K-puppy. K-puppy whoopee. Ooh. Yeah, it's popping.
Check my audio level.
심장이 한 번씩 주위를 둘러봐 나는 아파도 모르고 있잖아 You make me loyal, you make me hero, you make me genius 주는 게 많아 근데 왜 너만 불행해질까 나를 위해서만 숨을 쉬니까 너무 외로워 보여 나는 멍청해 I don't like it, nobody like it 간연히 심청해 I don't like it, nobody like it Do it, do it, do it, do it 우린 길을 잃었어 Do it, do it, do it, do it 나밖에 모르는 나는 멍청해 내가 멍청해 너를 흔들리는 싸가지 악마의 속삭임 욕심이 널 밀어내니까 내가 늦더라도 기다리지 마 I make you patient, I make you puppy, I make you hungry 주는 게 없지 근데 왜 나도 불행해질까 나를 위해서만
I once told you close, soft breath, beating heart. As I whisper in your
What do you like to do, you silly banana? Thank you for your silly lobby. I love your face. How are you?
You get to see my whole body, Faye. Close my door.
nobody like it Do it, do it, do it, do it 우린 길을 잃었어 Do it, do it, do it, do it 나밖에 모르는
You're so hot.
You're on fucking drugs, bro.
Faye, how are you? Can you still hear me when I talk? Like if I'm up here and I talk? I got my little baby hammer, and I'm gonna take apart my green screen, but I figured like, I don't know, just put it on stream for now. The, whatchamacallit went well. The interview went pretty well. So I got hopes for it, but like, you never know, dude. Otherwise, I'm just like fixing my green screen, and I'm gonna tape up the, microphone on to make it invisible and stuff. You could stare at me all day. Well, you're gonna at least get to stare at me for like an hour or two. Fap all you want.
Got her. Got you, jabroni.
꼭꼭 숨었다가 웃으면 나타나 어디서 온 걸까 거짓말하지 마 천사가 맞잖아 네 정체가 뭐야 근데 손자는 나랑 못해
The music's louder than me? What the fuck? Is the music louder than me right now? Jesus, how high do I have it cranked up, man? Goddamn! Oh, not now? Okay. I'll tone down the music a little bit. Just in general. Also, why can I not move my Spotify window? Dude, what? Why can't I move my fucking Spotify window, dude? Can I move any window? Yeah. Dude, what the fuck? What is Spotify doing? No! I fucking lost my entire fucking... My TV heard me say the word Spotify, and it immediately switched to the fucking app on the TV, so my whole display went away. Where you're on mic, it's semi-normal. Okay. I think maybe I just had the music a little bit loud. Okay, cool. Minimize that. Music is still playing, right? No, it stopped. Piece of shit. Piece of goddamn old poop boy, I tell you what. Okay, anyways, before whatever the fuck happened, If I've been gymming full body and it needs to be like a once a week thing, honestly, it will be. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna switch to like morning workout routines. And what you're seeing here on this camera is my DJI 3, and it has like a 360 swivel head, so you can see everything everywhere, and it's got like a wide lens on it. So I'm gonna make that point over there and all that free space, and I'll work out like 1 or 2 days a week. And then we're gonna have a sleep stream over here in the corner with Danny Dorito. I can pan over to it if you want to see it. It's so weird. The face cam audio is synced, but the other camera isn't. Oh, yeah. This is synced here because this camera is the iPhone. But this up here is DJI 3 and it's slightly delayed and on a different audio. So just, yeah, I know. It's super weird. But let me pan it around and I'll show you. So just to the right, this area that I'm going to show you, just to the right of my desk. With Danny Dorito. That's going to be where I set up the bed today. And I'm going to have to work on lights and stuff and, you know, stuff like make it pretty, you know. Might need your help. And then further around. Oh, shit. It actually can't turn that far without going all the way the other way around. But you know what? There's a monitor in the way anyway. Let me just... So that space right there, all that empty space is going to be like workout stuff or whatever. Oh, gimbal endpoint limit reached. Oopsie. Yeah, sleep it on stream, dude. And we'll switch it to either sleep stream or workout, like depending on what's going on and stuff. But yeah, I plan on doing that. That'll be pretty cool. There we go. Now I get to do the super fun process of untacking my green screen painfully and then painfully putting it back up. So, you know, enjoy the next 2 hours of me struggling because this is such a pain in the ass, dude. Also, I gotta go grab a little step ladder. I'll be right back. Wait. I don't need a step ladder for this. What the fuck's wrong with me? Why am I moving it? You see this? You see this bit right here that's just like white? So I'm centered on the camera, and I actually like this point of view and this height. So I'm gonna take, I'm just gonna scooch it over to the right about a foot. And then that way, no matter where I'm at, it's just all green and clear and nice. I'm not excited for this. And I've kind of been gymming, but like in the sense of like lifting things and moving around, not so much like going to the gym. Although I should start very soon. If you could help, you would. I would love that so much. Okay, now that I think about it, Faye, I think I could use my lapel. Hold on, let me see if it still works. I have to turn my other mic off though, but then I can talk from anywhere, which will be nice. It just won't be as good as quality, but that's okay. Wait, can you hear me? Like, can you hear my voice right now? I'm just hot. You're on drugs. Rose-tinted glasses, dude. You're drunk, Faye. Go home. Oh, you can't hear me. Good. Okay, I'll just keep this on and I'll talk through this. It's a lot easier. And hopefully, I'll remember to take it off if I go to the bathroom or something. Otherwise, you're gonna hear me fry some chicken. You know what I mean? Need to be more kind to yourself. You're incredibly handsome. You're so nice, Faye.
You're so sweet. You're so fucking nice. Oh my god.
I will politely disagree with you. That's a step in the right direction, right? Like just being polite about it.
Frying chicken.
Yeah. I love that term for mostly when girls pee, and it sounds like they're frying chicken, because honestly, it does. Not to be crude, but it's pretty funny. I hope you can still hear me. The worst part about this is I have to hold all these tacks in my hand while I untack them. And hopefully not squeeze too hard. And then stab the shit out of myself multiple times at one time.
Little Fei-Fei.
I can hear you, you just can't see me. Or a cow on a rock peeing. What the fuck? See, that's too many words though. If you just say frying chicken, you know what I mean? I can hear you, you just can't see me. Okay, cool. That's good. As long as you can hear me, that way I can like do my work and like talk and check. Oh, God, that one just shot off somewhere. And then check chat on occasion.
We'll check about little Fei-Fei.
Ugh. Okay. So I've also got, oh, you hear me clear as fuck, it's not bad. Dude, this DJI 3, so I have a DJI 3 camera, right? The Omni, whatever the fuck. Osmo DJI 3. It's a crazy fucking name. And the mic that comes with it, astonishingly actually really good. I've tried other like lapel mics that are kind of on the cheap side, like under like $100 or whatever. None of them sound as good. And I'm like, that's crazy, dude. That's insane. Because this microphone is so good. You'll hang out with me and work on your island and hack up along. You know what? I would love nothing more. Let's see if this green is transparent enough. Oh, that's perfect. That's like a perfect shade of green. Oh, fuck, dude. Yeah, that microphone arm's gonna disappear. You need one of those for cooking streams, so you need to send me links after stream. Wait. Oh, the DJI 3? Dude, happily. Absolutely. It's, the only thing that sucks about it is it's a little bit annoying to connect to, like multiple devices. You have to like either turn off Bluetooth on one device or just disconnect it. So it's a little annoying. You can really only do like one device at a time. But it works great. So it's a pretty good mic. For all the shit that comes with the DJI 3, dude, oh, the camera's so good, dude. So good. You just have one PC, so it's okay. Oh yeah, you'd be fine. I think it is Bluetooth. I don't know why I keep leaning down. I keep leaning down because I think I have to talk into this mic, and I forget I don't have to do that. But I think it connects to PC just fine. Oh, shit. But yeah, it's for a lapel, it's pretty good, and it's got like a good, I don't know, like somewhere between like 4 and 5 hours, like battery built in, and it charges fast as shit though. So as soon as you're out of battery, like you're basically ready to charge it again. How should I do this? Should I do the side first or the top? Probably the side, yeah. Oh God, I hope I don't rip this thing, dude. Oh, please, please. There we go. Yeah. Just pull on both sides of the tack. It kind of comes out pretty gracefully. So far it hasn't shot into my mouth, so that's cool. I'd hate to eat a tack today. I do need to go to the gym though, Faye. I'm glad you mentioned it. But no, I'm gonna start doing like workout streams in my office, I think. You know, nothing like crazy or anything. Like I'm just gonna lay down a mat and fucking push-ups, sit-ups, and dips, like some sort of something. Honestly, even if I just like tone my body, that'd be great, because this muffin top is not fun.
I don't want a muffin top anymore, man.
Oh shit. Oh, I lost one. Oh, we got a rogue tack somewhere. Fuck. Oh, here it is. Okay. Yay. I don't have to step on it. Stepping on tacks hurts. Don't do it. Oh my God. Do you remember that scene from Home Alone? The first one where fucking Harry goes up the stairs and he gets a nail through his foot? That's what I think of every time. It's so gross. Ugh. You look great for real? Oh, stop it. You're too nice. Don't lie to me. Don't build me up. I'm just gonna get broken down. You want a gastric sleeve? So, okay, I've heard mixed things about the sleeve. I don't know if that's a good idea. But the bypass, I've heard and seen good things. A lot of success with the bypass. I think that's where they like snip a part of your stomach out, and it basically like forces you to, whatchamacallit. It basically forces like a limit on how much you eat, right? Like quantity control is really hard for basically everyone in the world. Because, you know, if your stomach's hungry, it's fucking hungry, and then the satiation of hunger doesn't really set in until you've eaten too much already. And I think we all, you know, struggle with that in some way, shape, or form, or experience it at least, right? And the gastric bypass is really good about like forcibly turning that off by removing part of your stomach and shit, and then stitching it back together. And then, I mean, you literally, A, you get full crazy fast. B, you can only eat so much. And even the doctors tell you, though, you have to be careful and you still have to diet afterwards. You have to avoid shitty fatty foods. You mostly want to stick to protein. Like, I remember when my buddy Steven LeBlanc had it. Oh my God, he lost so much weight, dude. It was insane. And he literally could eat an egg, a boiled egg, a hard-boiled egg. And then that's it. He was full for almost the entire day. It was fucking wild to see. So the nice part is it saves you a lot of money on food, which is pretty sick. But yeah, anything, I don't know, I'm a little iffy, and I've heard bad stories about sleeves or meshings or anything that sits in your body that's not already a part of your body is a little bit scary, especially if it's bigger than like a rubber band or something. So be careful. Be very careful, baby. I don't want you suffering or getting hurt or nothing. Please, I beg of you, don't. The sleeve makes your stomach smaller, no vitamin deficiency. It forces food to your small intestine. Oh, yeah, bypass is definitely more surgery. I didn't know there was a vitamin deficiency though, huh? And then it sucks. My dad had to pull a nail and bore it out of your foot. Oh, you stepped on a, oh my God. Hope it wasn't rusty. Well, most nails are. The sleeve just makes your stomach smaller with no, oh, maybe I do have it backwards, dude. Oh, shit. Oh, they cut a part out of your stomach and make it a banana shape, no actual sleeve added. Oh, I totally have it backwards. I think those are the same thing. Because he had a bypass, and that sounds exactly the same. I'll have to look it up, but I don't know. Maybe it's synonymous or something. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Yeah, fuck yeah, Faye. Fucking do it, dude. You do whatever you want to your body. I support you. I don't care if you want bigger boobies or less boobies, a Brazilian butt lift. Just don't do anything to your face. Your face is already perfect. Just no surgery to your face ever. Please, goddamn, please. It's 10K? Oh my God. Damn. Dude, it's 10K? Fuck. You already had, oh, that's right, I remember the rhinoplasty for your nose, but that was like due to an injury though. Also, your nose looks great, by the way. I feel like they've gotten closer to perfecting the nose, but like, man, everything else, like eyebrows and lips and stuff like that, it always looks so bad. Or it looks good for a little bit, like especially like the stuff they put in their lips. Is it collagen? Is it collagen injections or something? That's like common or whatever. Even those start to look funky after a while, and then like if you ever stop, the problem is if you ever stop doing it, it looks terrible, right? What's up, Jazzy? How you doing? Good to see you, baby. Yeah, that's like the only problem is with like collagen and shit like that. I've seen that a lot, and then like the lips just start to look weird if you stop. You got to be careful what you do, what people do with like plastic surgery or any kind of like cosmetic surgery, because like you might get trapped into something that you have to do for the rest of your life, otherwise it looks weird. You just do Korean face care? Hell yeah, girl. That's hot as fuck. I'll give you some Korean face care. Whatever that is. Your nose still isn't what it used to be. I think your nose looks amazing. I would lick your nose. Not like in it, but like on it. Like the bridge for sure. The only other surgery I'd want is a boob lift. Boob lift is that's super reasonable, dude. And your neck fat sucked out. Jazzy, how you doing today, BB? Hold on, somebody was, yes. We got Dutchy Wutchy. Okay. Oh, she like just started. Oh my god. There you go. All right, that's all I'm providing for her chat now. Goodbye. We'll minimize that so I look at that instead. Yeah, Jazzy, how are you? Everything's going. Oh no. Oh no. Okay, so before I fully oh, I got a vacuum up here too, dude. Shit. So before I ever fully set up my greens, or before I fully enclosed my what do you call it? AC unit, right? Oh shit! Ah, fucking fan! Shit! Well, I'm glad nobody saw that. Before I fully enclosed my AC unit, I forgot to fully enclose it, right? And sometimes like a ladybug or something would get in here. And there's a couple dead ladybugs like here and there, and a couple dead moths here and there too. Let me get the vacuum. Yeah, this needs to be vacuumed. I'll be right back. I mean, you can still hear me talk because I still have the lapel on. Like I said, as long as I don't, you know.
Typho, what are you doing, boy? What are you doing, Typho? Run away!
Where's the vacuum?
I had to put the vacuum in my butt.
Oh no! Oh, the fuck just clicked. Oh, God damn it. There we go.
A little shark vacuum. Feels so good. I love this thing so much.
All right. Did you guys hear me the entire time I was gone? I wonder if that reached throughout like the entire house. Ah, the sweet, sweet ASMR of vacuuming. No cut off? Yeah, this thing is crazy. The reach on this microphone is shocking. I mean, this is like a 2,300 square foot home, so that's crazy, dude. He's fucking nuts, mate. Susu. Susu with the immediate I hate this ASMR. What's up, Bogey? How you doing, man?
Oh, you want to give us a bulgy. The bulgy. The biggest bulge on the planet. Balls.
You know? Oh, a little bit more. Oh man, don't you love the sweet, sweet sound of vacuums? Oh, let's move this over here for now. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, 73 is okay.
Bulgy, the bulgy.
You're just honest, I appreciate it. Oh my god, how you guys doing?
How things going, buddy?
I didn't realize you came in with an almost from me downstairs. Hell yeah, dude. Best ASMR is vacuuming. How am I doing? I'm okay. I had an interview at 2 p.m. today Eastern, and like I want to say it went pretty well, but I don't actually know, obviously. But oh god, fuck. I think it went well. I don't know if I'm gonna be their guy. I don't know, man. But that'd be nice. It'd be interesting because I'd be working on like SCADA systems. Lots of morning meetings, like the usual IT stuff, whatever. But more interestingly would be the SCADA systems and all the electrical systems connected to SCADA and databases and queries and all that shit. So it'd be like a really great opportunity and I'd learn like cool stuff, but I just don't know if I'm gonna be their guy or not. But yeah, I'm hoping for the best. I know D really likes me. I don't know if the techie guys like me or not. It's hard to tell. Very hard to read. They're very dry too, so. I don't know. I mean, I dressed to impress, and then I answered what I could. I gave them pretty long explanations, like, you know, from start to finish, and anything I didn't know the answer to, I told them that, like, I had, you know, multiple forums that I go to, like video tutorials that I go to. I know friends to talk to, you know, about either being up to date in technology or finding an answer to a question that I don't initially know, etc. So, yeah, I wore a bunny suit, Volgy. I did. Just the upper half, though. The bottom half was a birthday suit, so it was a bunny birthday hybrid suit. Yeah. They love the ears, by the way. I didn't show them the fishnets because there were none. Blix is also sees I've been trying the singing bowels. My brain woke up feeling better for some reason. Sometimes it wakes me up and it has a weird change in pitch. The what? Singing bowls? Oh, the singing bowls. Did I say bowels? I did, didn't I? Yeah, whatever. You want that for your birthday? What, a bunny suit, Faye? Or just a half birthday, half bunny suit? With imaginary fishnets, but you're just naked. Oh, if my voice sounds different, it's because I'm using my lapel mic, which connects to my DJI 3, which is this camera right here. This camera over here is my iPhone, and my microphone here is disabled currently. So if I sound different, that's 100% why. Oh, singing bowls. Oh, it's really good to sleep. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it does like the dreamy, warbling kind of wah-wah effect. Yeah. Kind of. I don't know. I can't replicate it exactly. It looks like he's wearing fishnets, but it's just leg hair. Ooh, what the fuck? That's got to be a skill, Volgy. That's just... Can you imagine if you could do that? You could just take like some beard wax. Yeah. You could totally just take some beard wax. Ugh. And why am I sitting down? You could take some beard wax and individually shape fishnets out of your hair. Anybody could do it. You just gotta spread the hairs like evenly, right? Oh man, that'd be a fucked up thing to trick somebody with, wouldn't it? Damn. I'm just saying, you ladies could grow out your leg hair and do something really fucking funny one day. Don't listen to me for advice, I'm sorry. But God, it'd be so funny, dude. It'd be fucking hilarious. I would die with laughter and fall in love with whoever did it to me. As long as they got rid of the leg hair, though. I'm not big on hair, dude. I don't like it. But I myself am not exactly hairy either, so you know, it kind of tracks. Maybe should we turn this around? Isn't this like a different? Yeah, I think like one side's shinier than the other. Yeah. We'll keep it how it was, just in case. Oh shit! Fuck! Well, there goes all that. Cool. Love the. Oh shit! Fuck! I can't even hold it in my fucking hand, man. Resist, build up. Resist these nuts. God damn it! Where's the top of this thing? Fucking. Oh my god, dude. Where the fuck is the? What? There's still a live ladybug on here. Get out of here, dude.
Look at the little baby. She's so cute. Look at her.
You need to go the fuck back outside, buddy. I don't know how the fuck you got in, dude. Stop. Stop it. It's not a good place to live. It's really bad in here. Nothing to eat. How are you alive, dude?
These fucking nuts, mate. You just fucking walk in here. You just fucking waltz in and just say, fuck it. I live here now. That's fucking crazy, mate. Look at me now, look at you.
No, you'll not shave them, fine. Just mess someone up. Do it, Sue, do it. Let's see, all right. So I'm just tacking up my green screen right now. I'm not like doing anything crazy. But I'm basically just scooching it over this way like a foot because I'm using the iPhone camera over here, which has like a perfect width. Like this, I wish I did this a long time ago. Like I don't think I'm ever gonna VTube again because of how good this fucking camera is. Also, VTubing is so expensive and I would love an updated model, but there's no fucking way. No fucking way. Let's take like, I don't know, like 5 of these maybe and get started. I don't know if this is gonna hold though. I don't know. Oh yeah, nothing feels as good as holding a bunch of tacks in one hand nice and tight. You know what I mean? You know what I'm fucking saying, bro? You fucking know, dude. Oh, especially when your hand is sweaty. Oh my God, it makes this so much easier. Oh, and when you drop it, God fucking damn it. Oh, I'm so sweaty, what the fuck? My hands are so sweaty. God, if you fucking go in there. No. Ooh, baby hammer for the win. Yeah, I'd like to not drop those two, thank you. Say every couple of inches, probably. In there. Cool. Look at me, now look at you. Ooh, don't drop it, don't drop it, don't drop it. Sorry if you just see a hammer wedged in my butt. But that's like, it's just gonna be your life now, you know? I hope you're into that sort of thing. God, dude. No. We good? Yes. Oh, that's the hardest part, is getting the 4 first tacks started so they just kind of hold the rest in place. Oh. Sue says, you know, I know somebody who could draw and rig it if you're ever employed again. I would love that so much. Dude, if you can get a price from them, I would, yeah. And I've already got like so many references ready. I would love that. Technically, even though I'm unemployed, I do have unemployment, Susu, but I don't really have excess money. I don't care about the timeline. I just care about the quality and just having like a new VTuber again. You'll calculate it? Please do. Please do. I would love that. If it's you, Susu, I have so much trust and faith in you. And like, I don't want anything ridiculous. It's not gonna have like, it's not gonna be like all of the crazy VTubers with a fucking snake head that talks to their butthole, that, well, their main face talks and their tits flop around or anything. Like, I don't want anything complicated. I just wanted to look cool and just have really good facial features for the most part. I'm holding these wrong. This is not working. cool. Fucking suck. I'm gonna take bigger gaps now. We'll probably be okay. Hey, where'd that other tack go that I dropped? I feel like maybe I should find that, you know? Where is that tack? 'Cause if I don't, yeah, there it is. Problem is, it's like bent sideways. So it's really awkward to put in. Oh. Crazy you'd call out Faye like that. He's just a silly horny boy. It's true, Volgy, I am. No, I love Faye's model, but like, I don't know. I just don't want any complications like that. It's mostly because like it's just expensive, really. That's the only reason. Like every extra like animation and like flowy piece and shit ends up being like $100 per. Like it gets so expensive. But like Faye's model's fucking incredible, dude. I would love to have something like that. I just can't afford it. Oh fuck, you motherfucker! You fucking. Is it that model that is super universal or the other one? What do you mean, Sue? Well, like universal like the theme park or universal like widely used? What do you mean, what model? You talking about Faye's model? The one like she uses as her primary for the most part? God damn it. Oh, these fucking tags, dude, I'm gonna fucking blast! They're easy to straighten out. Model that is super universal. Look at me, now look at you. I don't know. I do not know. I do not. Oh my god, it's fucking, it was cursed, dude. Okay, I can't do it. My hand's just too sweaty. Maybe my hands are just too sweaty, dude. I have my AC on it. I don't know why the fuck. It's just Faye. Faye's making me all hot and sweaty and shit. And like, I just can't grip anything because Faye's here, dude. She makes me so nervous and sweaty. So sweaty. Faye says, I don't know what that means either. Sue says, I know there's one you can just change however you would like because it has a ton of assets. Oh, and then I know Faye's actual model before she got the other one. Good God, I don't know. I have no idea. All of her models are so detailed, I don't know. They're so beautifully detailed. Mostly I just want like really good facial expressions and some nice flowiness from the outfit. But that's kind of it. Don't you do it, dude. Oh, you fucking little, ooh. I'm gonna fucking eat your family, dude. You fucking get in here. You fucker. All right, this one's also bad. Is this the same shitty one I picked up? It is. I'm just a fucking idiot. Cool, love that. She says, I mean, that's the bare minimum, isn't it? It should be. I don't know, dude. I don't really need anything to change, though. Like, if anything, I would want an asset to be able to swap out assets, like swap out hairstyles, like Super Saiyan, shit like that. But like, otherwise, no, not really. Nothing crazy. Faye says, I have one that has like 4 outfits and hairstyles and the sunset hair. Goddess is able to change. Then you have 4 customizable models. Yeah. See, I don't care about that. I'm gonna have one. If I would have anything, it'd just be one model. Faye says my main model on Goddess was like 10K art and rigging. God damn! Jesus! You help me rip my dick off now. Fuck. Oh, it's so expensive, dude. I'm telling you. That's why I can't do it. Get in there, I swear to God. Oh, you motherfucker. Oh, I hate this. Faye, come put these fucking tacks in, dude. These are pissing me off. Also, you made me so sweaty. What am I supposed to do with these sweaty hands, Faye? Everybody hold still. Cool. I just need like 30 more fucking tacks to go. Great. This is going so fast. Faye says it paid itself off fast as fuck. For you, it does. Because that's, you were full-time VTubing and like, and you got boobs, dude. I hate to say it, but you got boobs. It helps a lot. Yeah, for 5 years, yeah. It'll never pay off for me, probably. Logan says, are we getting the grand playthrough today? Or are you doing Malsook as your next one? I don't know. I think Gran is next. And we'll save Malsook probably, honestly, maybe last. But I think I'll play today as long as I have time. I don't know, it just depends on how all this other shit goes. Worst case, I'll just do it just chatting today. And then like tomorrow I'll do it. Since I don't think I have any plans tomorrow, but we'll see. Faces, her boobs are only a little bigger than your own. No, they're both gigantic and perfect. You need to be in my face. Right now, please.
Oh my god, if I'm just getting started, dude.
Okay, you're allowed to talk now. Oh god.
So no.
Enjoy being muted for a minute. That's another thing I need to work on is like different effects that the that the dice can do. I really need to work on that. Just stay right there. Oh, I'm getting there, Chief.
Boy, we're getting there, I'll tell you what.
Goddamn! But yeah, Faye, I gotta work these love handles off, man. This pooch right here, this jiggle. That's the thing I want to work off. So we'll start doing the workout streams, like I said, in front of my desktop, and then to the right will be the sleep streams, just for funsies. Only on occasion, though. I'm not going to do sleep streams very often. That might be like once a week or something. Or if I'm just really restless and I need somebody from chat to like lull me to sleep or something. Oh, you fucking cunt. Oh, I'll kill you and your TAC family, man. Bitch. Oh, it's uneven. Fuck. First roll and you get fucking silenced. Dude, you guys lulling me to sleep would be fun. And you know what I would do? Is I'd probably like do redemptions for like maybe playing like pleasant sound effects to keep me asleep. Like the sound of whales or something. I don't know. Faces, yeah, mine's way worse than I want it gone. Dude, it's hard, man. It all comes down to dieting. Dieting and like exercise, and you gotta make it like a part of your life. Which is why I wanna start going on the weekend, but like, God, sometimes I just don't have the motivation or the energy. And like, that's, you know, not very convenient.
There we go.
5 Nights at Freddy? No! Well, I don't know, Faye. Maybe. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I used to sleep with, well, I still kind of do, but not as often. I used to sleep with horror movies on like every fucking night, and there's constant screaming that I would fall asleep to peacefully, so. Seasons I'll be humming in the next rock or close by, hopefully worse. Logan says, you gotta do it no matter how you feel. I know, dude, and if I can just like, if I could break that barrier of just starting, I know that I'll like continue with it, right? As long as I do it within the next like 4 days, I'll go to the gym again. But god damn it, dude, it's just that first time, really. The motions, yeah. Absolutely, Volgy.
Volgy, just come down here and teach me how it's done there, buddy. Drag me to the fucking gym.
And then kill me. Good. Good, good, good. Susu said teach me too. All right, you gotta pick up Susu on the way though.
A little Suwoo.
All right, almost done with this part. You bitch. Motherfucker. These attacks are so, like, they're so unforgiving, dude. Gotta have, like, thumbs of steel to get these fucking attacks in, man. Oh, you seen Vulgar workout streams again? Hell yeah, dude. Can't wait to be bronchitis free, get back to the gym. I'm hoping the same for you, BB. Faces I make DJ put in my tax. He has no feeling in his hands. Honestly, the feeling is fine. I'm too fucking sweaty, dude. There we go. That better cover all of it or I'm gonna go fucking crazy. Look, he says, it's like learning how to finger properly. Patience and listen, I'm good on that part. I'm good on that. I'm good on the tongue part. I just need a little drive and motivation to start doing it. You know what I mean? What the fuck, Volgy? Your brain read those two messages and had two different vibes? Cannot compute? It's for the best, Susu. Sometimes you just gotta push and wiggle, you know what I mean? Just gotta wiggle it in there. Sometimes wiggle it in fast, sometimes slow, and just the tip, you know? Sometimes that tip is just a lot to take in. I don't need that thumb anyway. Cool. Face said, wiggle it away, please. You know? And then eventually you can just hammer it in there. And I mean just hammer away, you know? And it works out. And sometimes you bust up that drywall real good. And that's okay. You just fill it with some spackle, then boom. Practically brand new. You know what I mean? And you just gotta hammer all over again. Hammer and hammer and hammer and just fucking just drill it in there. You know what I'm fucking saying?
Ta-da!
It's a pain in the ass. This is from fingering to banging. I should do it a landlord special. Damn right. Hell yeah, brother. Ah, so good. Love it. Okay, so let's put this, I think, like right down here. Then this will. Oh, God. Oh, I don't know which way I'm going with this, man. Okay. It seems that I was spiraling through it all. Oh my God. Let me show you the way. Fingering, banging, landlord special. Okay. Now we put our little tiny 2x2. Or like 2x1? I don't fucking know. Down here. Just kind of pull a lot of this underneath it. Just gonna help flatten it a bit. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, that's pretty good. It's good. Just kind of let it rest loosely. Doesn't have to be super tight. That gets it decently flat, and we have a few more tacks on, I guess, on both sides now, so yeah. Is all that pretty, is it pretty clear? cool. Mostly. Ugh. So let's do... Damn, do I have to move these lights? I hope I don't. That would kind of suck if I had to move those. A little dark on this side. Maybe I'll just have to set up an extra one. Oh, oh shit, I can't do that either. I don't know. Logan says, if you're fingering with the Susie, make sure you lightly arc your fingertip back to prevent stacking. It's very true. He's not wrong. He's very correct, actually. Okay. These I can just plug in with my thumb. Maybe I should start. Let me just like start over here, this side. I think it'll make more sense. Good. It's fine. What was that? Hammer, just in case. Datey. I didn't read the message. What? Oh. Oh God. I totally missed that, dude. Yeah. I skipped it. Sprouts, you also got your nails done today. Second time. Ooh, post your nails in whatchamacallit, shares or whatever. Did you get like almond tip? Did you get like coffin? Did you get fucking stiletto? What kind of nails did you get? Enjoy the heavy sounds of my breathing as they push in tack after tack. Elegantly, thoroughly, deeply. And only fart a little bit in the process. I might have plowed over it a little too far. Okay, cool. It's good though. That's, yeah, like right there is pretty good. Okay. There's so much work that goes into a green screen, dude. It's so annoying. I wish I could just fucking paint the fucking wall. It really do. You make it life easier. Oh. There we go. That's pretty flat. Yeah, I think once I get these other tacks down, it'll be nice and flush. As flush as it can be. Almond tip? Oh, sick, dude. Ooh, chrome Frenchies. Sick. I'll look at it on my, whatchamacallit.
My phone Discord.
Also, glad the Jellyfin's working. And I did update it. Oh, so good. Oh my God. Oh my God. Please scratch my head with those. Or my back. Or anything. Itching to watch Anime Called Ghosts. Okay, sick, dude. Love it. Oh, Face says I always get my claws. My nails are finally recovering from last. Witchy said, hell yeah. She said, all right, lay down then. I also technically only paid 37 bucks for it. Dude, 37 bucks? That's crazy cheap, dude. Amazing. Get the fuck out there. Ah, fuck. Ooh, it's right on my fingertip. God damn. Cool. I never want to attack this again. Oh, that's... Is that in a fucking stud? Jesus. Okay. Bitch, you're gonna go in. That is for sure a stud. What the fuck? What's that doing there? Whatever. I was about to say, I've never heard of like really getting nails, including tip, of under $80. So that's crazy. Like good nails, right? Yeah, American salons are insane. You had a discount though? Still, that's like under $50. That's crazy, Sue. That's crazy good, dude. Love that for you. May your nails forever be cheap. May your nails forever be favored. Oops. Just missed. Just fully missed just now. What the fuck? Oh my god. Dumb. And the bottom we don't have to really worry about. Just spread it out a little, it's fine. Just tuck it just a little bit more. Just roll it up. It should be okay, I think. Oh my god, oh, it's all twisted. Fuck me. Yeah. This. Yeah. The old Tucky Mucky, woo. That should be fine. Yeah, don't need to overdo it. That's good.
Oh, we did it, Chad. Wow. Holy shit, I practically pooped.
I love the sound this makes. It's that classic warble sound. So much. Oh, God. Yeah. Shit, did I have to go over further? Motherfucker. Yeah, whatever. I'm done. I'm not doing it anymore. Okay, one sec. Should have turned off. Oh.
Oh, there we go. Sorry about that. I was talking the whole time. Yeah, that's crazy. $50, man. All's off. Christmas. It's almost time for Christmas. This video will definitely be flagged for DMCA, but that's fine. There's 2 of me, Fade. Does that excite you? What to do with 2 indies? Oh, God. I don't know if you'd be able to handle it. You might die. We both might die. You're pretty sick. Every woman's dream in America. But not really. It looks like my lighting is decent. So yeah, let's wrap up the microphone arm, I think. Oh, that's why. Oh, that's why. It needs to be like here. There we go. Cool. Is that like, that looks okay, right? Like that's not too, like too much indie on the screen versus game and shit. And then, well, it's good on here at least, so that's great. Let's do a crop on this one. I think we're doing default. Double indie, DP Eiffel Tower, full Nelson, endless possibilities. It's good for sure. Hell yeah. Cecil's will be back, or maybe not. Definitely have to go shower and continue working some more before I have my gaming day tomorrow. Oh, good on you for being like, for managing your time, girl. That's awesome. Those priorities, dude. So much love for now and good night. Good night, Susu. I love your face, BB. If you don't come back, and if you do, I may or may not be here. So love your face. Bye. Quinn said to set up TLS for Jellyfin, but I don't think I care that much. Oh, SSLT is less Certbot client. I don't know if I care, dude. MD Ghost. It's the sequel to Initial D? Ooh, that's cool. Cool. If I'll be back when I was what? Oh, if you'll be back, then you were weak. Don't be weak, be strong. Do whatever you want, baby. I don't care. Take care of those priorities, though. Big proud, bigly proud of you. Bigly wiggly woo. Over, everything organized again, out of the way. Sweet, okay. Okay. Let's see. Maybe we'll take, yeah, let's do this one. Go to filters. Oh, we don't have a crop pad filter. Well, now we do. I'm gonna crop it off of the right. And maybe just do like 10.
That's right. Come on.
Oh, wrong one. On the left side, we'll do like 15. 20. Yo, that's fucking annoying. 30. It's fine. Perfect. That way it's not too big, it shouldn't take up too much space. I feel like right there ought to be good. I'll lock that in place. Now I just need to wrap up, cover this arm a little bit. And voila. Magnifique. So this is just carpenter, or what is it, painter's tape, so it'll come off pretty easily if I want it to. It covers it up so perfectly, dude. Love that. Oh, it needs, I think, a little bit. Yeah, it's like the top and the bottom aren't quite invisible. Is it? Oh, it's not fully covered, that's why. Son of a bitch. Too bad. It's better, I think. Oh, that's why doesn't it show my arm through it though? Oh, that's, yeah, it should just make it invisible. Cuts off my arm now. Not terribly helpful. Guess it doesn't matter anyway. Fuck it. Well, you know, at least the background comes through, I guess. It's just part of my arm is just missing now, which is unfortunate. I don't know. That's weird. Do I need to it's on the webcam though, but it should be invisible. It should just, I thought it would make it transparent and then show me behind it, but I guess not. It's either black bar or invisible bar. Oh, yeah, I'll take invisible then. Whatever. It's good enough. That's okay. And the lighting's a little, could be a little better down here. Either that or it's like a slightly different green. Not too noticeable. I think it'll be fine. Faces you rent, right? I do, yeah. Did you get a temporary green wallpaper? No, I don't need. Oh, I've got a green screen. I'm fine. Just a cloth green screen for my background. I was just trying to hide my microphone. But I guess it's only gonna hide but so much, so that's okay. That's probably good enough, right? Because as long as the as long as the game shows through it, like, that's good enough. There might be a little fuzzy line on a subtitle here and there, like, that's not bad. Let's go. Hide that. There we go. Turn that off. Yeah. I think we're good. Hold on, something isn't right. I wonder. Let me. Device default. I wonder if I change that to custom. Doesn't like that. Okay. I wonder why that is it not 16:9? Is that why? What if I switch it back? No option to change it. Alright, cool. Whatever. Like right there. Okay. And voila! I have a little bit more room now, which is kind of nice. I'll probably stay this way for like a long ass time. Faye, did you say you said you wanted a link to that? I'll try to send you one here. It's on my laptop though. Nah, whatever. I'll send you one later. So I'm tiny on this screen, and this screen is pretty, yeah, pretty good. Yeah, perfect. No rush. Sick, dude. What the fuck else is on my list today? I love my little notepad on my phone, dude. I use it for fucking everything. Also, I admitted today that I use sticky notes in that interview to help keep track of things alongside other project management. And I don't know if that was a good thing or a bad thing. But like, it's good, dude. It works. Okay. I think that was everything on my list today. I think. And then I think, what's his name? Chocolate. I think Chocolate was gonna get me that Kill It With Fire 2, and I really want everybody to play together. It'll be so fun. Why is there only one game? Let me restart Steam. That's fucking sus as fuck. Okay, we've got our RSI launcher. Oh yeah, there's a bunch of games that came out today that I kind of want to look at real quick. How's the sound quality with the music versus like my voice? Is it okay? I feel like the music's on the low side. Already banned. Love that. Music's on par with my voice? Oh, hell yeah, girl. I appreciate you, baby. Oh, that's what I was playing. I was playing Sulfur. I might do a little more Sulfur today, since I don't have a whole lot of time for like a full sitting or anything. I think that might be good. Alright, let's look at those new games that came out, see if any of them are a banger or not. Oh shit, Faye, you know what time it is? Cookout time. You know what is also low? My Grand picks? Oh god, I love Grand. I love Grand, but Malsook, dude. I don't know. Malsook is, she's so cute. Marriage Forever. Either one of them. Honestly, any of them in the new season. Because two of them aren't like girl failures, thankfully. Alright, this game is called Blinding Oversight. Don't know where the fuck this came from, but Malsook doesn't even make my palms sweat in a single scene. She makes me sweat. Every time I look at her, I just want to claw my face off. She's so hot. I mean, same with Gran. I mean, they're both in the same tier for me. That's just what it comes down to. They're just in the same tier. This K-pop with the scare game is a weird combo. Oh, we played a demo of this a long time ago. I remember this cabin now. You're just trying to escape the cabin. Alright, well the video doesn't really give us much, but the demo was pretty cool. Ayasa Shadows of Silence. Horror, atmospheric, adventure, single-player, puzzle platformer. What? What is that? What is that little butt? The fuck is this shit? Kind of reminds me of Little Nightmares. It's kind of cool. Yeah, very, very little Nightmares, but a little more movement involved. Yeah, it looks pretty okay. What about Death in the Abyss? Fight, difficult, fast-paced action horror. What the fuck? Oh, it's like Star Fox? Like... Oh, that looks cool. Well, that looks fun as fuck, man. A lot of backdashing in it, too. Yo, that looks crazy fun. That's like a very dark, demented fucking Star Fox. I'm here for it, dude. Superstar Strategy looks okay. It's very just like tactical RPG. It is very cute though. Which by itself is very like drawing. The resolution does hurt my eyes a little bit, though, so I don't know about that one. Then we have Sequest Dungeon, which is underwater bullet hell shit. All right, let's see what that's about. Also, if my webcam's a little bit like stuttery, that's just because I don't have the adapter for Ethernet yet. The Wi-Fi's pretty good, but like not the best way to transfer video, you know? Ooh. Pretty fun. Sick. Summarized. Thank you. What does manners be damned? Oh, this is like a goofy like PvP shit.
Scamp, fool, swine, capital, thing.
Yeah, like Battle of Gentlemen bullshit.
Oh,
God. But I guess you're trying to, like, achieve a goal at the same time? I'm not really sure. Yeah. That game would be very fun if I had a GameCube already. That'd be sick. And Hail to the Rainbow looks pretty cool. Albeit a little bit on the rails, I think. We got Treadstone Keep, which is cool. It's a fun little top-down, like, dungeon crawl. Ars Notoria was not here yesterday. Apparently it's got mixed reviews already. It is a open world survival craft. Well, I guess we'll just pass on it then. And Kill It With Fire 2. This is the one, Volgy, that if you get money, you should maybe get. Because me and Chocolate are going to play this, and hopefully like Faye and stuff. But it's got like PvP up to 8 people, which would be fucking hilarious in our Discord. I don't know how anything in this game works. Kitty Cat, hello! You missed it, man. I had my junk in my butt on stream for the longest time, adjusting my green screen and shifting it over. How you doing, bud? I think this game's gonna be really fun, especially the PvP shit. Oh my god, I forgot you get tanks in this. What green screen? This green screen. Boop. That one. This one. You see it now? I think you see it. Yeah. Isn't that cool? I taped up my my microphone arm today, and it's better. It does kind of cut off my arm, a section, but like, at least the game will always show, and it'll never be in the way anymore. So, yeah, that's Kill It With Fire. Kill It With Fire looks dope. I'm excited for that one. I think that'll be a lot of fun. I don't think it'll be fucking chaotic as shit. Oh, the PvP is gonna be so fun, dude. If we can get at least like 6 people for PvP in that, it'd be fucking crazy good. Ayla looks really good. Oh my god, I forgot about all the fucking discounts and shit because of Black Friday and Thanksgiving and all that shit. Ayla looks dope. Survival horror, a little bit on the rails, a lot of heavy story in it, which is awesome. Psychological, atmospheric shit like that. And sometimes you use your gun for shit is kind of what I'm expecting, but it looks really cool. Another cool game, a first-person scaly game that came out is Total Chaos. I really want to play that too, but all these are like 25 plus, and I have to wait technically. So, but we'll get there. But I think Chocolate's getting Kill It With Fire too. So Kitty Cat, if that like tickles your pickle on a multiplayer shenanigans we can play together, like I would go ahead and pick it up if you want, or you could just wait until me and Chocolate do. But I think that'll be really fun. Kitty, how you doing today, man? How's life going for you, buddy? There, buddy, there, guy. We'll do some sulfur for a little bit. I was just getting back into sulfur. So let's switch that back. Kramer, what's going on in there? I forgot to install Counter-Strike Source, Jerry. Fucking love that. Is this muted? Yeah, it's muted. We're good on here, yeah. Fucking great meme. Class meme. High tier, high class. Good, you just got home from Soul Grill and Cary. Really? Ooh, is it really good, or is it just like kind of okay? I remember you were telling me about like a really good place, and I don't know if that's the same one that's in Cary or what. I can't believe you didn't invite me, you piece of shit. God damn. How am I not a part of your family, you bastard? It's so good? All right, I'll have to check it out. Soul Grill. Okay, cool. Cool beans. I'll try to list the VOD today. But I with all the music I've played in this VOD or this stream today, it's probably gonna get a strike or something, or get muted or something, so it might not work out. What is she playing?
Oh my god! I ran right into that asshole. Oh! Hey, back off. Hey, back off! Back off! Back off! Back off! I'm stuck in the trees. Back the fuck off, bitch. How do I shine a flashlight in him? Shine it inside of him. Ah!
What the fuck is that?
This asshole.
Oh, your friends invite? They took you out? Oh, that's nice, dude. That was definitely a walking butt. I don't know why.
Well, how was your yesterday?
God, dude. She plays some really weird shit sometimes, and I love it, dude. It's so good. All right, let's do some sulfur, boy. Definitely was a walking butt. I don't fucking know why, but you know, that's her business. She plays a lot of really weird shit. Specifically, mostly horror themed, but sometimes it's just really fucking weird. Yeah, we'll play Sulfur for a little bit until I get kind of tuckered out, and then I'll probably peace out for the night. Hang out with the waifu, get something to eat. Honestly, it's almost cookout o'clock. Did this thing lose my fucking audio settings? Almost. It doesn't sound loud to me. Like, I don't hear anything really. That's good. Like some tall dude bent over and goateed himself and then sort of jogging backwards at you, still goateeing. yeah, the Chiefs were clapping as it ran. I love this Felony, dude. She plays some of the weirdest shit. Like, if you thought I played weird shit, nah, man. She plays some really goofy shit, dude. It's pretty great. Are we, like, I don't know what scrolls I'm keeping anymore. I'm just keeping everything, I guess. I could probably sell all the food, keep the oil. Let's, like, all this food we can sell. Keep that, keep this brain with me. Let's get rid of the rest of this, I think. 15, 100. Get rid of the eggs or maybe turn it into something, I guess. Yeah. A rhubarb pie. 30, 35, we'll do that. And we'll just sell the rest, I guess. Hell yeah, brother. What's this thing use? 556? Okay. Cool. We'll keep that 2,000 with us.
Fantastic.
She said fantastic. I probably do need to repair some shit. A little bit. That's pretty much everything. It's weird. I thought I had a bigger resolution on this phone, and it was showing more of my body with a wide shot, but I fucking guess not. Very weird. That's like too little. There we go. Yes, that is nice. That is good. Cool. Oh! Kitty, how was your Thanksgiving, dude?
How are things there, buddy boy?
My druthers.
Makes weapon non-automatic. Takes away spread, adds damage. Can't apply that to shit. Is this already modded? There's empty slots. That's modded to hell and back. We can't do anything with that. Do anything with that either, I don't think. It was good. You ate non-traditional with the fam, just us? Oh, that's so nice. Mom made some Spanish dish. It starts with a P. Okay, dude. Oh my god. Well, you know what? That's awesome. Piero, Piasso, Pumpernickel. Okay, great. That narrows it down. Thanks. Thanks for that there, buddy. This thing just beat to hell, man. I'm glad you had a good time there, buddy boy. What is that? SMG, 60 damage, 800 RPMs. Spread 2.5. Oh, no. What I have is definitely better. I gotta look at what oils I have. What oils do I have? What do they do? Plus damage, minus bullet speed? Fucking weird. Plus damage, minus aiming. That's fine, you know. You're not really ADS with a fucking shotty. Plus damage, plus spread. It's not bad with a shotgun, but I don't know. Plus damage, plus recoil. That's not bad. Straight up plus damage, but no money drops. I don't care. Oh, this one's minus 20%. Yeah, the shredder oil's good shit. Add some spread. But, extra projectile means double damage. Okay. Jump power minus 10. Okay, it's a weird negative. Lots of recoil. Good God. This one's just... Oh, cheap oil. Nah. Why is my... Here's my streaming PC being so weird. Whoa! Why is he using 80% CPU right now? Holy shit, guy. Encoding overloaded? Oh no. Oh shit. Hold